Hey everyone, so as we draw to the end of Cabin Fever 2023, I finally had a chance to get out and do my runs. Now, originally I had all these grandiose plans of what I was going to do. However, something just kind of fell into my lap at the appropriate time to actually be able to do something I think was kind of an interesting test with, I think, some interesting results. So in front of you, you see two AK-47 pattern rifles. One is the Century Arms BFT-47 that I actually ran last year in the Classic Division. One of them is a Polish AK, complete with all of the new Midwest Industries Alpha kit on it. And I wanted to see, and I'm not the first to do this, but I wanted to see for myself, running the same pattern of gun in both Divisions 1 and 2, and seeing what sort of performance difference you get when you go from kind of a bog standard AKM pattern rifle to a totally tricked out, much more modern, what we're seeing in certain conflicts around the world, pattern AK. So if you're not familiar with the Cabin Fever Challenge, basically it's a course of fire for 20 rounds. You fire 5 rounds standing, reload, 5 rounds kneeling, reload, 5 rounds prone, reload, and then 5 rounds sitting. All of this is done on an 8-inch target at 100 yards, at least when you're competing in either of these divisions. And it's a matter of number of hits on target in that 8-inch circle, along with the time it takes you to do it. So you can be very accurate, but very slow and get a poor score. You can be very quick and very inaccurate and get a poor score. So you're trying to find that perfect balance of speed and accuracy. And in the past, actually, like I said, I know this BFT-47 definitely finished in the top 3 last year. I can't remember. I think it may have won the Classic Division last year, but this is my first time running this. And so let me go ahead and show you both of the runs, and then we'll talk about what we can extrapolate from those results. The first target, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to say that that is not breaking the line. And over here, I saw all these all the ones down there, and thought that that was from this group. But I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, breaking the line right there. We'll take a closer look later. So for those of you who were paying attention, you know that I actually did a little bit better with the Century Arms BFT 47, and I don't think that that's a result of it being a more accurate gun or anything like that, because the Polish rifle I was running is plenty accurate, at least for the type of shooting we were doing out there. The main difference is I have a lot of rounds through this gun, and I have a lot of rounds through guns in a very similar setup to this. 5,000 rounds through one of the Viscas, and then just over 1,000 rounds through this thing, and I've spent a lot of time with this pattern of rifle. On the other hand, this new Polish build with the Midwest Industries furniture, this was actually the first time I had ever taken this out to shoot. I had literally picked it up at the shop on my way to the range, bore sighted and mounted this scope, or in the reverse order, mounted and then bore sighted this scope, and then zeroed it immediately before competing in the Cabin Fever Challenge with it. Now, if you were to ask me, hey, you have to go into a modern conflict armed with one of these two rifles, this is undoubtedly the one that I would pick. Having some sort of optic to not only be able to shoot at longer distances, but be able to positively identify things at longer distances, having a white light of some sort, and then some sort of IR unit for night vision. This is absolutely the gun I would take. However, even with all these force multiplication options available on this rifle, at least in this style of course of fire, the thing that is most important is just time and reps with your rifle. If I have shot this rifle nearly as much as I shot the BFT 47, I have very little doubt that I would have run this better. And if you look at the two targets that I shot, this one had more shots clustered to the center, meaning when I had the proper fundamentals and I was able to pace myself correctly with my rate of fire, those rounds went exactly where I intended them to. Meanwhile, with the iron-sighted AK, I just kind of had to hold where I thought I needed to be and pull the trigger, and I still did well enough, but it was more of a pattern, whereas this, again, when the sights were on target properly, when I had a proper trigger press, those rounds were way more predictable in their location. So, again, you can have all the force multiplication stuff you want, but if you're not out there actually practicing, you're not going to do much better in most circumstances, again, than against someone running something that they run many, many thousands of rounds through and train with on a regular basis. So again, I think that's interesting. If I were to run this again next year, I think this would do significantly better. Again, just because I'll have a lot more experience with it at that point. And after running the Cabin Fever Challenge, I went and ran about 300 rounds through this thing. It's also worth mentioning, as I like to do with the Cabin Fever Challenge, I only ran each rifle once. I don't like to do multiple runs with the same gun just because I want to get an accurate representation of what my skills with that firearm are at the time. And I personally feel I have no issues with other people running multiple times with the same gun. But for the things that I'm trying to get out of Cabin Fever Challenge, I just feel like I'm cheating myself if I'm trying to do it over and over for sake of score. Yeah, my goal is to track my progression as a shooter over time, for what that's worth. So the separation between the two was only 5 points, 4 seconds for the same number of hits. And again, I thought that was kind of an interesting result. Now, I know other people have run a similar style where they run a standard AKM in the Classic Division and then a more modern AK in the Modern Division, and to slightly different results than I had. But again, I just thought this was an interesting thing to do, an interesting thing to test out. And when I had the opportunity to run rounds through this gun on the day that I was going out to do my Cabin Fever Challenge testing, I just thought that was too good of an opportunity to pass up. So good luck to everyone else who competed in the Cabin Fever Challenge. We're going to be wrapping it up here in a couple days, as when I'm filming this is March 29th. March 31st is the last day for submissions. Hopefully I get this thing out, or get this video out by then. But again, I hope you guys found something interesting out of this, and you guys are going to be seeing a lot more of this rifle on the channel. So anyway, with all that being said, as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.